My wife left me, then came back years later. With another man's baby, she walked out of my life like I was nothing. Years later, she showed up at my doorstep, holding a baby that wasn't mine. I never thought my marriage would end the way it did. Lisa and I had been together for 4 years, and while we had our fair share of ups and downs, I believed we were solid. We built a life together, made plans for the future, and I truly thought she was my soulmate. But one day, without warning, she shattered everything. I remember that moment like it was yesterday. I came home from work, expecting the usual, maybe we'd have dinner together, talk about our day, and relax like we always did. Instead, I walked into a half-empty apartment. Lisa was standing there, her suitcase packed, a blank expression on her face. "We need to talk," she said. My stomach dropped. "What's going on?" She wouldn't even look me in the eyes. "I'm not happy, Jake. I can't do this anymore." It felt like someone had knocked the air out of my lungs. "What do you mean? We can work through this." She shook her head. "No, I've already made up my mind. I'm leaving." Just like that, no discussion, no attempt to fix things, just gone. I begged her to stay, to at least explain what had changed. Had I done something wrong? Was she seeing someone else? But she refused to give me a real answer. "I just need to figure myself out," she said, her voice hollow. "I think I made a mistake getting married so young." And with that, she walked out of my life. For months, I was completely shattered. She cut off all contact. No texts, no calls, nothing. It was like I had never existed to her. Our friends were just as confused as I was. No one saw this coming. At first, I thought maybe she was going through a crisis, that she'd come back once she realized what she'd lost. But as time went on, I was forced to accept the truth. Lisa had chosen to leave. And I had to find a way to move forward without her. Little did I know, this wouldn't be the last time I saw her. The months after Lisa left were the hardest of my life. At first, I kept hoping she'd call or text, something to explain why she had walked away so easily. But that call never came. I spiraled into a dark place. I stopped going out, barely ate, and couldn't sleep without replaying that last conversation in my head. How could someone who once said they loved me just pack up and leave without a second thought? But eventually, something clicked. I realized I couldn't live like this forever. Lisa had moved on, and I needed to do the same. So, I forced myself to go back to the gym, picked up new hobbies, and reconnected with friends. Slowly, I started to feel like myself again. I even tried dating, but nothing ever lasted long. The truth was, Lisa had left scars that made it hard to trust anyone new. Then, after nearly 2 years of silence, Lisa came back. It was a regular Saturday night. I had just gotten home when I heard a knock at the door. I wasn't expecting anyone, so I hesitated before opening it. And there she was. Lisa stood on my doorstep, looking completely different. Her hair was messy, her eyes red and swollen like she had been crying for hours. And in her arms, she was holding a baby. I froze. "Jake," she whispered, "please, can we talk?" I just stared at her. I hadn't seen or heard from her in years, and now she was standing here like nothing had happened, with a baby in her arms. "What the hell is this?" I finally managed to say. Tears welled up in her eyes. "I know I don't deserve it, but please, just give me a chance to explain." I should have slammed the door in her face. I should have told her to leave just like she had done to me. But I was too stunned to move. Lisa had broken me once before. And now, she was back, begging for a second chance. Lisa stood in front of me, her eyes pleading, the baby shifting in her arms. I felt a whirlwind of emotions, anger, confusion, and a strange, unwelcome ache in my chest. I wanted to slam the door in her face. I wanted to tell her to go to hell. But my curiosity got the better of me. I stepped aside. "You've got 5 minutes." She let out a shaky breath and walked in, clutching the baby close as if afraid I'd turn them both away. I led her to the couch and sat across from her, arms crossed. She looked nervous. Good. She should be. She cleared her throat. "Jake, I know I have no right to be here after what I did. But I need you to understand. I made a mistake. A huge mistake." I scoffed. "That's putting it lightly. You left me, Lisa. No explanation, no warning. Just packed your bags and disappeared. And now, years later, you show up with a kid and want to talk?" Tears welled up in her eyes, but I wasn't about to let them affect me. "Not this time," she sniffled. "I left because I was scared. I thought I wanted something different. Something more." I clenched my jaw. "So you walked out on me to find yourself?" She nodded, guilt written all over her face. At the time, I convinced myself I was unhappy. That I had rushed into marriage too young. But the truth is, I was selfish, Jake. I thought I could find something better. I leaned back, crossing my arms tighter. And did you? She flinched, lowering her gaze. That's what I thought, I muttered. For a moment, she was silent. Then, she took a deep breath. There was someone else. There it was, the confirmation of what I had suspected for years. My heart pounded in my chest, but I refused to let her see me break. Who? I asked, my voice cold. She swallowed. His name was Ryan. I met him a few months before I left. It wasn't serious at first. Just talking, flirting. But then I convinced myself that I had feelings for him. My fingers curled into fists. So you cheated on me. Tears spilled down her cheeks. I was emotionally cheating, yes. I told myself I wasn't, but I was. And when I left, I went straight to him. I laughed bitterly. Straight to him. Wow, you really didn't waste any time. Lisa winced. I know. I was a coward. I wanted to believe I was chasing happiness, but really, I was just running from my own issues. Ryan made me feel wanted, and I thought that was love. I shook my head in disgust. And where is Ryan now? She let out a hollow laugh. Gone. He left the moment he found out I was pregnant. Said he wasn't ready for a kid and disappeared. Just like that, I exhaled sharply, my emotions a mix of rage and satisfaction. She had left me for this guy, only for him to abandon her in the worst way possible. Sounds like karma, I said. She nodded, wiping her eyes. Yeah, I got exactly what I deserved. Silence stretched between us. I stared at the baby in her arms, innocent, unaware of the mess their mother had made. Finally, Lisa whispered, I know I can't undo what I did, Jake. I hurt you in ways I can never fix. But when Ryan left, and I was alone, I realized something. I had thrown away the best thing in my life. You. I exhaled slowly. Lisa, you didn't just hurt me. You destroyed me. You made me question everything about myself, about love, about trust. You don't get to just show up years later and say, I made a mistake, and expect everything to be okay. She nodded quickly. I don't expect that. I just wanted to see if there was any chance. Any hope. I still love you, Jake. And I swear, if you gave me another chance, I would spend every single day proving to you that I'll never make that mistake again. Her words hung in the air like a heavy fog. I took a long, deep breath, staring at the woman who had once been my whole world. The woman who had thrown me away like I was nothing. Could I forgive her? Could I ever trust her again? And more importantly, did I even want to? Lisa's words lingered in the air, thick with desperation. She still loved me? She wanted another chance? After all the pain, all the sleepless nights, all the self-doubt she had left me with, she thought she could just walk back into my life with a baby and expect me to forget everything? I leaned forward, rubbing my temples as a headache formed. Lisa, do you have any idea what you put me through? She nodded quickly, tears streaming down her face. I do, Jake, and I regret every second of it. I was young and stupid. I thought the grass was greener, but I was so wrong. I scoffed. And now you're standing here, with a kid that isn't mine, asking for another shot? Lisa flinched at my words but didn't look away. I know I don't deserve it, but I swear, if you give me a chance, I will make it up to you. I'll do whatever it takes. I stared at her, then at the baby in her arms. The little one was sleeping peacefully, completely unaware of the mess their mother had created. It wasn't the baby's fault. They were innocent in all of this. But that didn't change the reality of the situation. Lisa had betrayed me. She had left me, humiliated me, and crushed me. And now she wanted me to pick up the pieces of her broken life? I let out a bitter laugh. Lisa, I spent years trying to move on from what you did. I had to rebuild myself from the ground up. And now, you show up out of nowhere, expecting me to take you back? She shook her head, not expecting, hoping. I stood up, pacing the room. My mind was racing. Part of me wanted to scream at her, to make her feel even a fraction of the pain she had caused me. Another part of me wanted to just walk away, to finally close this chapter and never look back. And then there was a third part, a small, conflicted part, that still remembered the woman I had once loved. I sighed. Lisa, I won't lie to you. A part of me will always care about you. But not in the way you want me to. She looked up, her breath hitching. What do you mean? I took a deep breath, gathering my thoughts. I mean that I can't go back. I can't pretend like what you did never happened. You shattered my trust, and that's not something that can be fixed overnight. Maybe not ever. Her bottom lip trembled. But, I've changed. I'm not that same person anymore. I nodded. I believe you, and I hope, for your sake and your child's, that you have. But that doesn't mean we can be together again. A sob escaped her. Jake, please. Just think about it. We could start over. We could build something new. I shook my head. No, Lisa, you burned this bridge, and now there's nothing left to rebuild. She let out a shaky breath, clutching the baby closer to her chest as if it would keep her from falling apart. I felt a pang of guilt, but I pushed it aside. I had spent too long putting her feelings above my own. She wiped her tears, her voice barely above a whisper. So, that's it? I nodded. That's it. Lisa sat there for a long moment before finally standing up. She looked around my apartment, the same one she had left years ago, before turning back to me with a pained smile. I guess I deserved this. I didn't respond. There was nothing left to say. She walked toward the door, but before stepping out, she turned to me one last time. I really did love you, Jake. And I'm sorry I didn't realize how much until it was too late. I nodded, but I didn't say anything. She sighed, then walked out the door, leaving me with nothing but the ghost of our past and the certainty that I had made the right choice. As I closed the door behind her, I felt something I hadn't felt in years, peace. I had finally let go. What do you think? Did I make the right choice by refusing to take Lisa back? Or should I have given her a second chance? Let me know in the comments.